Trustee Williams. Here.
Okay, we have a quorum present. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, are there any citizens that wish to address the board on anything other than what's going to be on committee of the whole? Because then, if you want to address this on committee of the whole, you can at committee of the whole. Okay. First item is village manager Allison, the electric aggregation.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to keep you up to speed, we're actually tomorrow morning we're going to interview 3 prospective consultants that'll walk the 7 communities through the process. And we've set public hearing dates, and those dates are 2/14 in Arlington Heights, 2/29 in Buffalo Grove, and we're going to have a hearing here on the 8th of March at the Village Hall in this boardroom. So that's pretty much the status, and we're all getting going to webinars and different things to different members of the 7 communities, and in fact, one of the ones that another community Bob represents, Palatine, is one of our groups. So we've been talking, and I think things are going along fairly smoothly. And then assuming that the referendum passes on the 20th of March, we would proceed with a bid process, those communities where it's approved. And again, to emphasize, it'll be the ballot, it's an opt-out scenario. So if a resident does nothing, they will be part of this aggregation. And communities, there's no guarantees, of course, in the future, but communities have saved anywhere from the low 20%, again, to almost up to 30% of the generation portion of your electric bill. So a little status as we get more information, and obviously when we get the intergovernmental agreement, I'll review it with Bob and then bring it to you for your approval. And one interesting thing, most likely the managers at the bid opening will have to approve it right there, because as I understand the rates, there may be like a 24-hour hold on the numbers, but it's that kind of market where you make a bid and you accept the low bid. And again, that's a piece of it too. There'll be a low bid piece of it, and the plan is to have a renewable energy piece of it. So I don't know if there's any questions.
Anyone have any questions on this? Okay.
Thank you.
Do we need a roll call on this?
No, not at this time.
All right. Okay. Next item is the Assistant Manager, John Calmer.
Thank you.
Light Show.
Thank you, Mr. President. In your packet, you will see a summary from me with regards to the Holiday Light Show. And I'm pleased to report that this year, through a combination of, I think, additional advertising and marketing of the show, Dave and his elves doing wonderful design work out on the site, and Mark and his guys making sure, or his folks making sure that people got in the show. We experienced the highest, second highest vehicle total of any show since 1997. What that equates to is approximately almost 2,200 cars, more than what we saw last year go through the show, which is phenomenal, to say the least. Looking back at some of the records, and you have the information before you, we were seeing a steady downward trend in terms of traffic coming into the site, and in the past 4 years we have totally turned that trend around, which has been fabulous. So, as you will recall, again, we did an extensive mailing campaign where we mailed out information both on Shop Vernon Hills and also the light show to over 200,000 households. We worked cooperatively with the Lake County Convention and Visitors Bureau to both market on their website along with doing an extended multimedia campaign both on radio and digital billboards in areas where we have not been before. And then again, we spent a lot of time here putting information out to the various media sources and then our local residents. So again, great year, fabulous weather. Probably could have used a couple dustings of snow, obviously, to heighten it a little bit, but for the most part, it really turned out to be a great year. And again, congratulations to both Public Works and Police Department for their efforts and coordination of this effort, along with appreciation to Loyola University, Cuneo Museum and Gardens for their assistance in putting this event together. So with that, I can answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions to John? What is this, and the split is still the same as it used to be with Cuneo?
Larry,
So what? So they
70,
get
30.
30?
Yeah, 30% of the receipts.
Okay.
On the total receipts.
Right.
So what do we actually net out of this year?
I haven't seen final numbers yet, total. I mean, we've seen the revenue, and the revenue increase over last year is about $15,000. But I have not seen final numbers.
What do we
Wasn't the
net
net,
last year?
the net was 16,000 last year, wasn't it, Larry?
Yeah,
That number you developed,
Yeah.
Trustee Cook, I think, probably remembers that number. We were working on that for that one resident that asked, but it's 16,000, I believe, net. It doesn't include any daytime work, but it includes, correct me if I'm wrong, Larry,
Right.
all the overtime of Public Works
Right.
and overtime of police.
Right.
So there's a lot of both. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so hopefully this
So
year
what do we split with Cuneo, the intake or where do we come up with the,
We take it right
is
off
it
the
the
gross
net or right
figure?
off the gross?
Right. You're talking about how the split is determined?
Right.
It's right off
Yeah.
the gross revenue, the ticket receipts, gross
Ticket receipts.
Right. And that was the idea that they did a piece of it, like decorated the mansion. They would be in charge of the actual ticket taking itself. And so that was the split back maybe '05 when we did the new revised agreement, which I believe runs through one more year. And we've started, John and I met with him, we started talking to him about it, but, as you know, there's a development scenario being discussed on the site that would have an impact on
Right.
the drive-through.
Okay. All right. Is that about it, Jim?
That's it. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Okay. Next item is the omnibus vote agenda. Is there a motion to approve items A through H?
So made.
Motion, is there a second? Any comments or questions? Anything want to be pulled? If not, roll call.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz? Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, unfinished business, approval of Kemper voucher list of bills dated January 10th, 2012, in the amount of $6,740.20. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second, roll call, please.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz? Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is approval of December 20th, 2011 Village Board meeting minutes.
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Roll call.
Trustee Schultz,
Aye.
trustee Schwartz, trustee Williams,
Aye.
trustee Hedda,
Aye.
trustee Cook,
Aye.
trustee Markwart.
Motion carries. Do we have to go to closed session?
No, sir.
Okay, under any new business or communications, when are we gonna, okay, now that I know everybody's turned in their, strategic planning, questionnaires and such, are we gonna have a session on that one night?
I was
To just
thinking about
recap it.
putting a draft together and then sending it out to you, take a look if there's comments. It's whatever you want to do, if you want to actually meet on it with, before the draft is finalized.
Yeah.
Or do you want to meet on it afterwards and kind of talk about implementation strategy?
Yeah, well, I think, we need to, well, of course, it'll be shared with the village, but, yeah, we should have a, I guess, a public discussion of it one more time.
Okay.
And if there's, I guess we could lay it out there to anybody that wants to come, obviously, to talk. This is the first one we've done in what, 4 or 5 years, or 4 years?
Yeah, I think 04 was the last one.
Okay, so 8 years,
Yeah,
7 years, okay.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
well, yeah, we should go into that. So what would you feel comfortable bringing it back in February?
Yeah, I think we could have something together later in February.
Okay,
Yeah,
But,
because
we're gonna do that tonight.
I know, but I meant,
yeah.
Okay. And then, are we, have we scheduled anything yet to do a, I don't know, I guess a state of the village, kind of meeting that was requested after by some of the residents and stuff?
Right.
But,
John and I,
after the
Right.
Project Turf
Yeah.
meeting,
John and I talked about that. We're going to put a PowerPoint together, and a lot of the elements of that we really have, and you've done before in different forums. We did it at the chamber
Right.
luncheon.
I guess my
in
question
May,
is,
but-
where do we do this? I mean,
Well, I
where-
was thinking if it's your, as I think I mentioned to you, I think having it here and having like,
Yeah.
continental breakfast in
And
the
doing
morning,
it one
and just
morning.
invite
Yeah.
businesses to the village hall here,
Right.
and, and whoever would like to come can
Yeah.
come. Here you do like a PowerPoint.
Yeah,
presentation.
okay. I just want, this came up and there were some people that really wanted to go through this, and we didn't dwell as much as I think they wanted us to on what was going on in town and having a question and answer, because, so I don't know if there was a little.
The focus of the meeting was a little bit on one subject.
Yeah, and that, I guess in all honesty, was probably the intent of the meeting, so, but it wasn't presented exactly in that phrase. Okay. All right, anything else to come before the board? If not, is
I have
there,
a
oh, yeah, what do you?
Just a quick
Yeah,
comment.
sure.
Dave, I noticed Sunday morning when I was on my way to church, a little before 8, northbound on Deer Path, where the park is at, the lights on the west side of the street were on, all along there, the street lights, at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Today, this afternoon, there was one on for sure. Yeah, and it's 1 block north of the park.
oh, so it's moving north now.
Yeah. On Deer Path.
On Deer
On
Path.
Deer Path
Yeah,
itself.
yeah, we're following up on a number of light outages, and so
Yeah.
we're working through that.
Right, sure. Right. Thank you. I just want to let you know. I
Okay.
meant to call you and I forgot about it.
Rumor has it we're gonna have snow, Dave, are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Thursday. are
Do we
ready.
have enough salt?
We've been ready for a month and a half,
Yeah.
but we're glad it hasn't made it
I
here
had
yet.
drivers coming in
ready
saying,
too.
do you think people got salt? And I went, oh my
Kids
God,
are ready
I think
for-
we have
Yeah,
salt.
yeah, we got salt, okay. All right, anything else to come before the board? If not, is there a motion to adjourn and go into committee of the whole?
So many.
Or second.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Trustee Schwartz, Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Motion carried. I'd like to call the committee of the whole meeting to order. First item is approval of the December 20th, 2011 Committee of the Whole minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
So made. Second.
Motion is second. Comments, questions, corrections, deletions? If none, roll call.
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz? Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, first item is capital improvement budget for fiscal year 2012 to 13.
Thank you very much. In front of you is the draft FY 2012-2013 CIP program for your consideration. The total budget amount is $1,602,432 as part of this draft. What I'd like to do is primarily focus on next year's budget. There are future considerations too. I'll go through the next year's proposed budget. If there are any of the future items that the board wishes to discuss, I can move those into the discussion. But I'd like to go through really what we're proposing for next year. Starting out, primarily the major initiatives for this year are going to be VHAC enhancements. Total value of those would be $58,232. The items are really three items. One of them is off of Fairway Drive. There's a need for a monument sign. We've talked in the past about working with our partners and having a similar type monument sign for up and down Fairway Drive. Since the construction of the VHAC, the high school has moved forward and they've installed their own type of signage, but really we think it's important to have some directional signage when people visit the VHAC that we can say, look for the VHAC sign, turn right and go in and play your sports. So in terms of the dollar amount, it's about $9,000 for a sign very similar to what we have for the golf course. An additive $2,000 would be if we wanted some extra stone features at the base of it, more in keeping with maybe the commercial area. So that's how we came up with the $11,000. The second item, fields 1 and 2 within the pinwheel area, we're looking to renovate those. In-house, we were able to renovate one of the fields last year. It just takes a lot of labor, a lot of time. We're able to do it, but we think it's more appropriate for us to hire a contractor to do that. Let me be perfectly clear, within the VHAC budget itself, we're going to absorb this $32,000 in the base budget that we used for last year and the previous year. So the overall VHAC budget, we're not looking to increase. This $32,000, we're able to hire a contractor because Tom Bretman from my staff is acting as a general contractor instead of us having a contractor that does everything out there. So we've been able to save $32,000 plus. There's discussions previously in this year about adding some roofs for fields, for the dugouts for fields 5 and 6. We're going to do that in-house. We've been able to save some money out at the VHAC as part of this year's budget. There was a prior board discussion that we would have these dugouts roofs added. So we're going to do that in-house. I don't know if you have any comments on that.
Question I had was, wasn't there going to be for the dugouts with the roofing that, I don't know if it was the Cougar or Park District was going to end up doing it or pay for it?
We did have an arrangement with the Park District that if there were the proceeds from the soccer program rentals out at the VHAC, that money would go towards this. I think that would be enough money to pay for the materials. In terms of the labor, I don't think we have enough money to pay for the labor to have a contractor do it, so my staff will do that. So we'll get that project done as the board desired earlier to make sure that we had roofs for those fields that the Stingers primarily use. Moving along, trash enclosures, by the pond, the north end of our site, north of the pinwheels, we've got 3 dumpsters out there. We'd really like to put them on a concrete pad and then put some enclosure around that. Village Manager Ellison and I have talked also about the need to do some recycling. So we'll come back and talk to the board again in terms of potential of addition of having some recycling. Certainly with the sports use and the sports drinks and the water bottles and the plastics that are generated from the sports fields, it would be really good if we had a recycling component on site. So that item would be $15,000. So those are the major initiatives that we're discussing. And again, those are primarily at the VHAC site. Moving along, we've discussed our road program for next year.
Let me ask a
Yes, sir.
question. And the soccer fields, is that 2 fields or 1 field for 160?
The soccer lighting would be for the remaining fields going to the east. So it would light the last 2 fields going easterly at the southeast corner of the site. We may have some upgrades needed for the power needs to bring it to the site, to that location. That's why that number is so high. And
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, some of the fields, I mean, wasn't the lighting almost $100,000 just for the lighting?
yes, I think the last
Okay,
one
but
was,
this would be for 2 fields that are equivalent to, what, the size of the football fields, right?
yes.
Okay.
And the reason that additive $60,000 or so is there is really trying to run the power to that location, which is
Yeah.
an additive cost.
Yeah. Okay.
Very good. In terms of the road program, we've presented that to the board in the last few months and had prior discussions. We have submitted those plans to IDOT for approval. And we're going to be bidding that project out later this month. IDOT has approved of the program and the plans and documents. The program's going to be on the east side of Deer Path, a substantial area from, I think, northern limits would be Greenvale, southerly to Malvern. So it's pretty much every asphalt street on the east side of Deer Path, not including the 2 concrete streets. So a sizable project, $900,000. There's some testing required, geotechnical testing, that would be $11,000. The additive item is new roadway enhancements. We've discussed over the years within Continental Executive Park. Currently, they're doing a Phase 2 study and moving forward with, from the post office, Fairway and Lakeview area. To properly align Lakeview as it crosses 60, this $250,000 would be MFT dollars, and it would be to hire a consultant to go through a Phase 1 and Phase 2 plans. Why we need to improve that area is looking at Hawthorne Parkway and Lakeview. This really was generated originally when there was a proposed OPA redevelopment and just some of the traffic issues there.
Right.
So what this would do would be a consolidation of the southerly project and this project. We would put off the overall construction of the Fairway Lakeview and this project until either probably into 2016. The Fairway and Lakeview project was scheduled for 2014, but looking at the economy, looking at the traffic counts, because of the drop in the economy, we're finding that the traffic counts are down about 11% from the heyday of the economy. So there's not the great need to rush out there and do it immediately. What we think is the ideal plan is when the resurfacing needs of Fairway and Lakeview we're faced with that. Instead of just resurfacing it, we should move forward with this project and do the widening. We can get 70% reimbursement on the project, and so that's why we think that we should move forward this, not in 2014, but 2016, and add the northerly part. We certainly could phase this too and do the Lakeview part from the post office going north to Hawthorne, and do Fairway separate as far as a phased program. Again, it's 70-30 grant financing, so 70% would be funded, 30% would be local. So,
Well, run that one by me again. What's the percentage?
70% would be eligible for funding by others, 30% would be the local match for that
And
program.
are we still putting this project at what, how many millions?
It's every bit of 2.4.
Is that?
Our local cost would be about $2.4 million.
Yeah, so this is pushing, you know, at 8 million or more?
I think it's a little over $10 million.
Yeah.
How much?
Okay. Yeah,
Our-
but
our
then,
part-
this would actually give you all, you'd be blowing up how many intersections? 3 or 2 or
One,
4?
two,
4.
4. Yeah.
One of the really good benefits is on Fairway, when you're going northbound, you get to Route 60. There will be one dedicated right turn lane
Right.
to allow people to go east, where it's a
Right.
combined through and right now. The capacity issues on Lakeview, when you're crossing 60, you're going southbound, it's one lane, it gets congested and doesn't allow people to cross 60. By widening it, we will have 2 southbound lanes, and we'll have double the storage to move them into our business park.
And at what point would we actually have a signal there, because of people just, you know, going over to Big Bear, Little Bear, and Summer Celebration, just walking around, where you got a countdown timer, you know what I mean? Where, because that's kind of, you gotta be quick there. You gotta be real quick.
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly.
How hard would it be to get that sooner than later? You know, some kind of a,
Those countdown timers, we can add those to the existing system separate of this project if it's our desire, and we can talk about that more.
well, could, you know, I mean, would the board have any interest in putting that in the budget now? I mean, potentially for this year? We use motor fuel tax funds for that, or do we have to?
We would be able to use motor fuel tax money for it.
Okay. You know, can you ballpark anything like that? I mean,
Maybe it's in the 20,000 to, well, when you get into the engineering and submitting it to IDOT, that part's probably about 20,000 in terms of the actual cost for the signals and that, changing that out. I think that would be minimal in comparison to that. So maybe it's 10 to 15,000 for the actual signals itself, so.
Well, okay.
Let me investigate that.
Yeah,
I can come back to the board with more details
Yeah.
on that.
That would, I mean, you know, that would kind of be nice.
Yep. I should say too, Mayor, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but on the whole issue with the countdown too, they're really helpful, as we all know, pedestrians. Some states promote them a lot more than they seem to be in Illinois. But also, part of the problem is just fundamentally duration. Even if you have a countdown, it does let you know, and I'm sure you've all had that experience, that as soon as you step off the curb, that countdown seems like you got maybe 12 seconds to get across that
Well, that's up-
5 lanes of road. So it is helpful, but it really is,
I would say crossing it at, I guess Lakeview and 60 is tantamount to like crossing, Lakeshore Drive down by Buckingham Fountain, you know what I mean? Where it's like,
Run.
yeah, it's like,
you go.
okay,
Yeah.
you know,
You have to, right.
you know, and
Absolutely.
for people like me, the guy comes with the cattle prod, you know, hey, you pick up the pace here, you know? It's like, but I mean, it's dangerous. I mean, it really is. And there's a lot of people that cross there, and, you know, we probably should even look down at Aspen too, you know? I mean, that's not as wide, but that would be beneficial
You're
for all
thinking
the
Aspen.
children that kind of wave through there, you know?
Especially with the school. It's like,
Yeah, you know, yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe, if there's one other location, I don't, we should think about it. I mean, if there's another location, I mean, I guess Deer Path is one, but where else would it do a lot of people cross in town, from one side to the other? I mean, is there,
I think those are the big two. I
yeah,
would say those are the big
Or,
two.
I mean.
Aspen and Lakeview.
Yeah, okay, well, those would, that'd be kind of nice, because the city of Chicago's got them all over downtown,
Yeah,
Well,
but
not
they got
ev-
those,
not
they
everywhere,
got those
but-
lady officers out there hurrying you along.
Yeah, they got people blowing whistles at you and everything.
That's the
Oh,
killer.
okay,
Saying
trustee,
nasty things.
yeah, hey, move, okay. Trustee Schultz.
The one other thing, I'd still like us to try and pursue getting a future right-of-way or getting a right-of-way for the southbound Lakeview right-hand side. In other words, getting a right-of-way from 1 Hawthorne Place. Some point in time, the economy will move. We
Yeah.
have 2 privately held large parcels on the shore of Big Bear, and they're going to want to develop that, and we talked about this the last time, and that would be a major impediment from my perspective, is not having a 4th lane of traffic going southbound to allow for right on red. Yep, so.
Yeah, I
Correct.
mean, isn't it already part of the study to do the right turn lanes at both locations?
Well-
Isn't it Lakeview and Hawthorne, and then
The
also?
thing is, there's no right-of-ways there. Yeah, everybody said, yeah, good idea.
Are you saying
But
that-
you gotta have the right-of-ways.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, there's land there to get the right of way.
So,
They'd have to bump the sidewalk.
right, but
yeah.
it would be good to get the right-of-way right now.
Yeah.
And then at some future juncture, if in fact we need to move the sidewalk, all right, then we
Well,
can
you
do
know,
it
it's
then.
Or at least been on one side.
there's one area that, kind of concerns me from a pedestrian and a bicycle standpoint is where the actual light support is at Lakeview and Hawthorne Parkway. If you're on the sidewalk to the west and you're heading towards that intersection, I mean, you gotta maneuver around a pole. I don't know.
It's like,
Well, yeah, it's like, and it's kind of busy there, Oh, well, I mean, maybe something like, okay, fine.
So probably the steps on that, as far as getting the acquisition is first trying to find out how much right-of-way we need.
Right.
And to answer your question, yes, there would be certainly dual southbound lanes, and then it would be desirable to have a southbound to westbound right turn lane also.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it is cumbersome through there and congested.
Yeah, southbound backs up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, but while
Southbound
we're,
Lakeview.
then we could really go off the page and start going regionally for an overpass at the railroad tracks. Because that's what takes, we went through this drill, it's only about, what, $50 million?
oh, it's.
Yeah, on Butterfield.
But I mean, that's part of the issue there with the
I think it's something to
traffic
do with the
backing up,
grade,
what,
too.
early afternoon on 60, so. Okay.
so I did take notes on both of those comments. So let me follow up, and I'll be back in touch with the board and present something.
Yeah, okay.
In terms of bike path and sidewalk improvements, well, I'm skipping ahead. Actually, preventive maintenance.
Going back to
The preventive maintenance program is consistent with past years. We have a crack sealing program, $30,000. Pavement marking, $15,000. Pavement patching, we have both asphalt in $40,000 and then concrete at $19,000. The $19,000 is at Midway and Linden to continue with improving those streets, or at least maintaining the concrete sections. Bike path sidewalk improvements, the annual sidewalk program is $45,000. That's consistent with past years. The additive item would be along the EJ&E, south of the EJ&E, from Butterfield Road to Indianwood the $5,000 towards looking into potential grants. I just received something this morning about a possibility for an ITEP grant. So we certainly can pursue the grants and then determine whether or not we want to move forward with the project. But we'd like the money in the budget.
The $0 in the Kelly's Day Camp, is that just to pay some lip service to the fact that we probably need to trim some brush back and rake the stones a little bit or whatever?
Yeah, it's really nice that you can go from this building all the way to the TIF area. We've extended the pathway system very, very well, except for Kelly's Day Camp. We do have some potential development. We don't know when that will move forward. So the board directed us previously to make sure that a temporary grinding path was installed. So we'll continue to maintain that. It would be really nice if that was hard surface, and I think that's the village's wish. So it's just more of a holding point. We put zero
But you
dollars.
will maintain what we've got?
We will do that.
And is there any kind of crosswalk there for any of the lawyer estates or writer estates?
There is no mid-block crossing there. I think residents are waiting till there's a gap where they can cross the street, but there's not a traffic signal to afford them.
Is there any way to
60
sign
they
it?
run.
I mean, just that, put that like that.
It may be difficult because there's a number of subdivisions along there, so where we might
Yeah.
designate that might be problematic, that there might have to be 3 of those.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
We couldn't put up like a duck warning, duck crossing warning or whatever along the way to slow people. Well, we put it
I don't
on
know,
Hawthorne
you-
Parkway, ask Jan, she was the one that asked for it.
Yeah,
I remember that years ago.
yeah. I mean, do we have to petition the state to do anything along there? I mean, even just,
It's
like a
state
sign,
route.
pedestrians, be aware of pedestrians or something like that?
we would have to work with the state to install any signage within their right-of-way.
Because really, that's the only place they can cross from a pedestrian standpoint.
Deer crossing.
There's no place else to go.
Yeah, what is there? There's Ryder's Estate, there's Sanctuary Point, so there's a couple subdivisions, Sarah's Glen, Rivers Glen.
Yeah, but Sarah's Glen is actually.
They have a signal adjacent,
yeah.
so that's an easier area to cross. I think it's really Sanctuary Point and
Well,
Ryder's Estate.
right, the light is not at Sarah's Glen, it's west of it, but it breaks the traffic so you can get in
Right,
and out.
right. Or you can
But,
go down to the
yeah, all
light,
joking aside, I have seen deer crossing there by Kelly's Camp.
There you go.
Yes,
You just misspelled deer.
That's true.
D-E-A-R.
there's a 2-legged deer running across the street.
Okay. Where are you at now?
Okay,
Street lighting.
Moving forward, stormwater improvements, that section's $28,000. 18,000 of it's for, working along the ditch, removing log jams, removing some buckthorn as necessary and swabbing it to make sure it doesn't come back. $2,000 of materials for atrium ditch just west of Deer Path. There's some old timber, railroad timbers that were installed to transition the grade. They've disintegrated. We need basic materials of $2,000 to just reinstall those. So we'll do that work in-house. And then Lake Charles bathymetric study. Hopefully the county approves their budget, which would include studies for Lake Charles and Harvey Lake. They do that periodically, approximately every 10 years. They'll revisit and do water quality testing, et cetera. What the bathymetric study does is it's a topographical survey below the water surface, so you can figure out what the volume of water is. So if you're adding good chemicals, you need to know what concentration it would go in. So the first step is to figure out the volume, how deep different areas are. Lake County Health Department, as part of their water quality studies, they do send a boat out. They do have similar to a sonar device that will perform this work. So we would hire them as part of their study to, do some more investigation, figure out how deep the lake is, how shallow certain areas are, and get a topo of that lake.
What is the deepest part of that lake now?
I knew it back in the Greg's Landing days. I think there's been more sediment added since then. When we went to put to draw water for the irrigation system, we were finding areas of maybe 6 feet. Maybe there was one spot that was a little bit deeper, but not much more deep than that. So there is.
Are we, now with the well there, are we pumping any water into that?
The well,
Or if we ever
the well is pulling water out of the aquifer
Sure,
1,000
sure.
feet deep, and so it's really pulling that water
Right.
in, but we're not adding water into the
But
lake
if
itself.
we, in an emergency, we could.
Yes, we could.
I mean, if we, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
if for some
If there's an
reason.
emergency, we'd go to the dam and we could open up the gate and we could let water
You mean
go out that way.
at Greg's Parkway?
For instance, before we had an irrigation system out at the White Deer
Right.
Run, we would have to send water downstream. So we do have a gate valve that we can turn, and we can send water downstream if we need to.
Yeah, but where's that located? Oh, you do it, I mean, the one
At the Lake Charles Dam. So on the golf course, the dam that is at the south end of Lake Charles, that's where the dam and there is
so
a
that
control.
you can close.
Yes, open it.
Open.
We can open it, yes.
Did it, okay.
I didn't know we could open it.
Okay, is it, okay, fine.
So, as far as the study itself, one of the things that we're trying to determine is Lake Charles at the north end is basically a delta. You have, similar to the Mississippi, you have the CV ditch that has a very narrow channel. So the sediment is in suspension, and it goes down the river system, it hits a lake, it opens up and it dumps the sediment. So there's a delta being created at the north side. Certainly when it's August or so, you can see that mud flat. I want to learn from the health department on their study, but one thing we may have to do is upstream of Greg's Parkway, create a weir or something that would drop the sediment north of Greg's Parkway, where Public Works could go in and remove that sediment before it gets to Lake Charles. Because once it gets to Lake Charles, it's very difficult to remove the sediment. So that's nothing in our near future, but it's something we need to study. So that's why that's one of the steps and why we're requesting the $8,000 for this bathymetric study. Any questions on that?
Well, okay, for example, now, this Deer Path metal culvert south of Albany, is that all our responsibility at some point?
It is. That and on Crabtree also. Very old CMP pipes, so metal pipes, and the flow line of them rust through over the many years they've been in the ground. So there's a couple ways to do it. We repaired the one for Atrium just south of, so Atrium at Deer Path just south of the fire station. We replaced that with a poly pipe liner. There's some old try and true methods too. This pipe, I don't know the exact dimension off the top of my head, but it's large enough that people could walk inside this pipe. How you would fix the invert of the pipe is you take a half section of a CMP pipe and then you put it on the bottom, you rivet it, and you go all along it and you reline the bottom, because that's really where the problem area is. So it's...
Well, where does it enter and exit? I mean, does it go into the pond?
It's trying to make its way east to Evergreen Lake, just before the CV ditch. So it's a major drainage for the Deer Path area, really along Sullivan, that east-west alignment with Sullivan. So So just part of the original subdivision development and, yeah, old metal pipes that, it's been on a list for a number of
It
years.
was put in by Levitt or, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Before my time, and I'm assuming it was Levitt and that
Yeah.
development.
Love it, United.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, and again, it's a future list. We don't have to, we're not proposing to do this next year, but it is something that we need to keep an eye on.
But it flows fine still.
It flows fine. It's
Was
just
it just galvanized metal, you know?
corrugated metal pipe. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
galvanized metal.
Okay.
So, and which tends to rust over time.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Moving along, I just put a 0 down for our village-wide street lighting project.
Well, this
We-
might be the place you put in the countdown lights.
Put in the what? Oh,
The countdown lights for Route 60.
Sure.
So, yeah, let me investigate that.
Yep.
I do understand your direction on it. Maybe I am jumping a little bit towards the future item of the traffic signals. There has been discussions about potentially a warrant study at the Lakeview and Fairway, not the post office side, but the Lakeview and Fairway that's closer to the high school. So I put it into the future. If the board wanted me to move it earlier, I certainly could. What my feelings are is that the high school is adapting how students and their parents leave at the PM peak. They are now have placed a sign that at the end of the day, they're to turn east and take a right, and they're not going to that intersection. They're going further up, right? Yeah, so they're gonna avoid this intersection. So we're gonna have less cars going there. So it didn't meet the traffic warrants when we looked at it last time, as part of when American Hotel Register was proposing to be redeveloped. It didn't meet traffic warrants there. Then
You say right by the Memorial Arbor Theater, yeah.
Yes, yes. So it didn't meet warrants for a traffic signal at that point, and I think the traffic volumes, as we've learned, are 11% down in CEP, and then also with the high school sending people away from this intersection, I don't think it's gonna meet warrants. If the board desires for us to look into it and hire a consultant to do the traffic counts, et cetera, we can, but that's why I put it into the future, because I just don't anticipate that it's gonna meet the warrants.
The thing I'd like to see, though, in the future, but at some point in time, we've got to fix or make permanent the Route 60 hanging traffic signals at whatever it is, Executive or CDW Way or whatever street that is.
Ooh,
CDW.
ooh, that's a big one.
Yeah, that's why future,
yeah,
and
well, that'll-
hopefully we get a grant or we get
Well,
somebody else
well,
to pay
there's
for
somebody
it,
that
or-
should be contributing to that, and it's CDW. I mean, they're supposed to be contributing to that.
Preach
That
it.
goes back to agreements that were done many moons ago.
Preaching to the choir there, right?
Oh, yeah, I know, I know exactly what you're talking about there. It's, yeah. And sometimes it's real quick. It's a real quick left turn, like at night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it just, you know,
Yeah,
it's a quickie.
yeah.
So let me add that to
Easy
the
button.
future list, if I may.
Yes. Yeah, permanent signals there.
Permanent signal. Municipal buildings, as part of the budget, this is probably one of our larger increases, although it's 93,200. The greater needs are certainly at the police station and the Public Works building. We need to spend some monies on tuck pointing and doing some painting of the exterior. More of it is really the tuck pointing. What we're finding is that certainly the front of the Public Works building that used to be the old police building,
Sure.
the brick on it, we're actually losing brick because of some deferred maintenance. So as bricks pop off, you need to match that brick, and so it gets more and more expensive if you don't address it now.
Want to come and take a look at my chimney? My chimney needs tuck, yeah, you should do, the tuck pointing's fine. You should do it.
Okay,
No, tuck pointing, I should have done some tuck pointing,
yeah.
you know.
The good news is if we spend the money this year, we won't have to do it in the future years. We'll stay ahead
Sure,
of
sure,
things.
sure.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Let's see, the,
I mean, where the boat, the, what are you gonna do?
Maybe that's not a bad idea to take a look at rehabbing it as opposed to fixing something that's not functional. Let's. Well,
We were gonna do,
You wanna eliminate the bow?
we were gonna do a Titanic-like
Yeah.
shot of the chief
Yeah.
up there, put on the website.
Yeah. Why don't we, maybe we could make it a tourist attraction though, do something like that, huh?
Good, I
I don't know,
suppose.
I don't, yeah, I don't know what
I don't know who designed that.
Oh, it was somebody big time. Yeah. Oh, what was it, Owens and Skidmore Owens, you know? I don't know, it happened. I mean, the buildings serve the community well.
yes.
We should have just made it square, right?
Well, the problem is it's a triangular shaped piece of
Yeah.
property.
Right.
That's why.
Yeah.
They tucked it in.
I just round the bow out a little bit.
Well, if we can do something though, you know, why fix something that's not functional?
we can look at the building plans and see how that front was constructed. Is it solid concrete or is it just, I suspect it's just a cover of concrete with stone on the inside, so it'd be more demolition of that, which may have a larger short-term cost, but we wouldn't have to maintain it.
So it could be a home for varmints. Well, you know, I mean, hey, that's the way most front porches were built back in the day in town, you know what I mean? And varmints do get under them sometimes. And then you report it solid concrete, you know, and then you pour concrete down the hole where the varmint was that blew an odoriferous smell into your house, and then the furnace transported it everywhere in the house. But that was years ago. It's been addressed.
I'm sorry to bring up bad memories.
No, that's okay. You know. All right, go ahead.
If I may, Metro Station, the Warman shelter on the far side, in terms of the vent installation, there's snow that blows into the vent. It's filling up that area, and it's starting to put snow on top of the drywall, and so the ceiling could collapse. So that's why what we were proposed to do is just to redo the vent on it. So that's what the 11,500 is for. What's it? Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, that would be good to have people in there waiting for the train, you know.
Yeah. This one is a must. It's a must.
The vent at the train station.
In terms of other items, there's the Public Works gate opener, $8,500. The gate is starting to, it's automated. It's got a box with a arm that opens and closes it when you hit the button, and it does need replacement. It's starting to stick, and sometimes manually we have to get out and pull on it. So it's in need of repair. Village Hall, the brick pavers, as you come in for the board meetings and other meetings, we want to work through resetting some of those, make it safe, certainly for yourself and for the seniors and other visitors that come here. And then going down to the senior area, the staircase, that the railings and the same pattern as we have on the glass. the fritted glass and the little squares. In-house, my staff's going to take a wire brush, scrape the rust away and repaint that. So it needs it, so we're gonna absorb that in-house, so there's a cost for paint, our time, and we'll get that done.
Before you leave, there was some talk about the carpeting in the senior center, or?
Yes, I worked with John Kelmar, and in terms of the carpeting, there's snags, the seams are tearing up. So you won't find it in our capital budget, but John has added that into the senior budget to have, whether it's carpeting, whether it's some other product. So that is on the list.
Good enough.
In addition to that, we've worked on the pool area, the billiard area, and there's scrapes on the walls, etc., because it's such a small area. So we need to put some material on there that can handle the butt end of a pool stick.
Like
So,
pork or something?
we're gonna we'll figure out what the material is. Some wainscoting. So yes, that'll be in another budget, in an operation budget, and we'll present that as part of the budget process. Home stretch. The good news, TIF project, $0 in terms of the capital program. Municipal golf course, we did not receive any requests for the golf course in terms of adding, whether it's asphalt pass or others, so that's at 0.
What about some trees? I mean, we've taken down 10, 15 trees, I think, due to emerald ash and other diseases. Do we have?
If it's the board's desire to have trees added there, we can find that within our operation budget, plant some trees out there. We'll work with you as far as where they should be placed, and OB also.
Might be worth a question, just talk to their maintenance guy and see if they'd like to plant some trees or whatever, and if we can get a good price on a bulk buy or whatever.
And trees are very affordable lately, so you can get a good value.
Why are there so many down on Greg's Parkway? Why are so many trees coming down on Greg's Parkway?
Those are all ash trees, and they did identify galleries of emerald ash borer within that area, so substantial amount of ash trees
You
along
gotta
there.
actually go up in the cherry picker because it starts at the top of the tree, right?
To be honest, our inspectors are woodpeckers. So we look for woodpecker holes,
Oh, God.
and then we know that when they're trying to get at the pest. So the woodpeckers are there and they're feeding on the pest. And so we look at it and we say, why does it have this beige mottled pattern on it? Well, the woodpeckers are eating them, and so then we'll go there with a blade and we'll chink the outside bark, and we'll look, and it'll expose a gallery, kind of a serpentine pattern. And when you look at it, you know the borer's been in
So
there.
is it down towards the base of the tree?
It will be along the whole tree.
Wow.
So does it start at any particular order, top or bottom? Or is it-
It's feeding on the layer between the bark and the hard part of the tree. So that's very similar to your veins. So the root system is feeding the top of the tree. So it's really, that's the circulatory system of a tree. So once it starts cutting into that, it's a tourniquet. And so the tree dies. So you'll see some die-off at the top of the tree. You'll see the woodpecker holes, and then that's how we know to go look at that specific tree. So the diagnosis is actually a lot easier than I thought it would be. And unfortunately, and we'll get into this a couple agenda items later, if we may. So moving along, the Arbor Theater, looking at that. The roofs for the bathroom and for the gazebo, they are cedar shake, and they are in disrepair, and they need attention. So we have added it to the budget, $7,000. Would like some board direction as far as, from a maintenance standpoint, it would be ideal to have architectural type shingles that look like cedar from a maintenance standpoint. That'd be my recommendation. If the board desires for us to, because of its setting, to install cedar, we certainly can install cedar shakes, but the environment, the moss or algae, but moss that grows on it, the weathering of it prematurely deteriorates, so it adds to increased maintenance needs.
Personally, I'm a bigger fan of standing seam metal roofs. I mean, you get 50 years on those. There's no issue with moss or algae or anything, even with architectural shingles. Yeah, they say there's a certain level of moss protection, or what do they call it, algicides, but still, I think a standing seam metal roof, if you can, do it architecturally.
What's your budget based on? What kind of roof?
Architectural shingles.
Not the.
A faux cedar look shingle.
So you'd have to double the budget if you went to a metal roof.
Typically, you can 30-year shingles.
Well,
Do you get 30-year? That's the manufacturer.
yeah, you
How
can,
big- what's the square footage of that roof on the restaurant? It's not big.
It's not big at all. I don't know.
11
big.
grand?
Yeah, it's that, and there's the
7 grand.
gazebo closer to the CV ditch also. So it's for two structures.
No. Yeah, okay. Oh, I'm sorry, the tuck pointing is the 11 grand, okay.
Yeah, 7.
All right, well, we need a hailstorm. Oh, I like it.
Moving along, as you were helping me, the tuck pointing, there is a need out there too for the fountain and for the building, $11,000. The culvert, the path that is immediately adjacent to the CV ditch, the stream, there's an outfall into the CV, a number of culverts. In between the culverts, it has settled out, the path is rippled, so we need to remove the asphalt, use flowable fill or something like that to compact the voids, and then put a new path over it to make a smooth surface. It's deteriorated and up.
Yeah,
up
the
and
one
down.
that has the pebbles.
Yeah. Well, in terms of the asphalt, we've been going towards just putting regular asphalt, and we got away from the original pebble, which is really a chip and seal.
Right.
So, we generally have removed that from the
Right.
site. It gets scraped, gets moved to the side.
Yeah, it's patchy,
Yeah,
Pebbles aren't everywhere.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's
What stabilization of the shoreline, how many feet is that, or linear feet?
That's
Is that everything?
That's everything. When that was built, they have a extremely steep shoreline slope. It's mulch, so mulch doesn't hold the soil very well. So 80,000 was my best estimate on it. I need some assistance from a specialist that helps us with our grant projects to look at what we really should do out there. This is something I definitely want to go back to the board
Sure.
and discuss it further as I learn more, but there is a great need for this. It's just mulch diving down on a steep grade right to the water's edge.
Yeah.
So we're losing all that, and it's filling up the river system, which that's really one of the beautiful things about the Arbor Theater is the water bodies. So we don't want that to fill in, certainly.
Yeah.
Last item, brick paver repairs, $5,000, resetting some bricks, certainly around the Arbor Theater pavilion itself in that area. We do need to reset a lot of the pavers.
Let me ask you a question. Not that we've had plethora of any new residential development, but do we still have the, what is it, the $300 donation in place that we were using? You know, we
yes.
raised, I mean, we pretty much pay for the arbitrator with that dollar amount.
It paid for a portion of the arbitrator.
Right, I know.
And we still have it in place. I believe the only homes that are still under it are the remainder of Greg's Landing. And so the TIF didn't fall under that cultural fee.
Is it too late to do that?
I think that was agreed away
I mean, at that particular project?
at that particular project.
Well,
Certainly.
what
future
about,
projects.
you know, for example, at Cuneo or at Kelly's or,
Right, yeah, when those get going, we
If they
should
get
collect
going.
more, yeah,
but that would apply to them?
yeah.
Yeah. Of course, it's not a king's ransom either. Nah, you know, yeah. Okay, all right, is that about it?
That is it, sir.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on this cap? Okay. Greenvale Road sidewalk. I must disclose, I live on Greenvale Road, and I didn't request this, but it was pretty thoughtful.
Because,
Yeah, I know, yeah, go ahead. I mean, yeah.
because Greenvale is within the limits of the road program, just wanted to ask the question. Within the area's subdivision, the sidewalk system is only on one side of the street,
Right.
except for Greenvale, which it's on both sides. Greenvale had the model to start with, so on the north side, the sidewalk system, as you proceed west, actually turns into the home on the corner.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So
It
we'd like
just
to improve-
abruptly terminates there. You know, the only thing I could say for a lot of people from, you know, the more western part of Deer Path, you know, cross right there to go to the park, which there's the public entranceway, you know, down on Exeter and Mayflower there. I mean, a lot, you know, there's heavy traffic, not just from my street, there's only about 8 houses, but, you know, people coming from Deer Path. And they would encourage them to, you know, they cross there now, you know. You know what it looks like.
You know, you're saying crossing of Deer.
Well, they come from, you know, they come from the west to get access to the whole Deer Path Park system. So, you know, I'm trying to think exactly where the crosswalk is.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's right, is it the, across the street maybe? You know, or in other words, the southern side of Greenvale, I think that might be where the cross is.
Right, and what I was thinking is if it's on the south side, they still can go from west to east across Deer Path and use the south sidewalk system.
Right.
In terms of this, there's a couple of different options. I apologize, with our new technology, we lost part of the diagram. There were a couple of options. You know, one option is you extend the sidewalk 300 feet. There's a price tag, it's $7,800. $7,800. And then another option may be you extend it westerly, and then we work with the church on the southeast corner of the church. There's a striped off area in the corner, and we bring it into that area so we can have people proceed that want to access the church, and they can, instead of going across the grass, they can connect into their parking lot. Or there's a third option, do nothing. When the new house, when the house is renovated on the corner, they're extending a driveway out to Greenvale, and we can just butt the sidewalk into their driveway and end it there. So those are.
You know, I have to admit that it would be kind of nice to accommodate people that use the parking lot. You know, with it, because people do park on the street and go to a church function too. You know, I mean, you know, I mean, it's not like it's not a used area where, you know, where Christ Lutheran. You know, people could, you know, if they got to park on unfortunately, if there's overflow, Yeah, you'd have
Well,
to
you
walk
could just-
across the grass could be muddy, and I don't know, women might have different shoes on, you know, and, it's I don't know, it's $7,800,
$7,800.
you know.
I think it makes a whole lot of sense, and I'd be willing to make a motion right now to go with option one, to complete the entire thing, and if the church wants to connect from the sidewalk to their parking lot on their property,
Yeah,
Let
where's
'em-
our property line at there? What's ours and what's the church's? There's part of it, it's gotta be the church's, right?
Well, there,
Yeah, that'd be kinda nice for the people, church could utilize for daycare and.
This piece,
I suspect that the church parking lot probably has a setback of maybe 20 feet, 15 to 20 feet.
Yeah, but how wide, it's pretty wide there though. Was that right away there is, what, 40 feet then? From the curb to the parking lot pavement?
From the curb to the parking lot would be, maybe that's about 40, yeah, 40 feet.
Okay,
Of that, the right-of-way might be 15 to 20 at most.
all right,
I say we put the sidewalk in
Yeah.
and let the church decide if they want to make one connection or two connections.
Sure.
At either corner, and then the new homeowner will have to build his driveway around the sidewalk, but
Right.
at least it's delineated. So that's my motion.
no, he just wants, put the,
Option one,
no, no,
Option
yeah,
one.
but to do the sidewalk down to Deer.
yeah,
It's gonna connect.
yeah,
Option one proposes
Yeah.
that,
right.
option
Right.
one proposes to have the sidewalk extended to Deer
Yeah.
Path from its current terminus.
In front of house number 10, whatever address that is.
Okay.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
A second the motion.
You wanna vote on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
for a number of reasons. Number one, to provide access
Keep
for the
going.
people that are parking up and down the street during the church services and during those peak periods of time, providing the more. But did it sell? I thought that, oh, it did go
Oh, it
through
sold.
the second time.
well, and that's what precipitated this, was this woman who purchased it, we understand, and she has plans in mind, correct?
Well, we've talked to her about, what she's gonna do to renovate the building. The plans haven't been submitted yet, but we've talked to her about, what she'll be doing to renovate the building to make it a dwelling unit. A substantial part of the work will be inside. There will be a one-car garage on the east side of the building the foundation was poured such that she can convert what is now offices into the one-car garage, and that's where the driveway will extend from. But as of to this date, we haven't received the permit application.
So that trustee Williams is what brought up the subject
We're only
with
talking
Dave
about
and Mike and I.
25 feet.
What do we want to do?
Well, we may not get this poured until, or built until
fall.
well into the construction season, right? I mean, we're not gonna run out and do this.
It would be scheduled for construction probably in June, July, August time.
So there might be, there might be ongoing work, so we coordinate it with the new owner.
And we,
And I'm in favor of sidewalks in front of every house. That's my other,
Oh, yeah, well, that
Point.
was done, years ago, yeah. Well, they are everywhere else in the village.
right, right. Here, we learn from our
Okay,
mistakes.
well, there's a motion and a second. Like roll call.
Trustee Markwart? Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz? Trustee Williams?
No.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Well, for the record, I'd vote aye. So. Okay. What else we got? Emerald Ash Borer policy.
Thank you. In terms of the emerald ash borer policy, we wanted to present this policy for a number of reasons. The policy helps Public Works manage the emerald ash borer infestation. It also allows us, because if we have a policy in hand, when we're pursuing grants, we receive more points towards those grants and have a better opportunity to receive funding. In terms of the policy, let me run through that for you. Okay, so the Emerald Ash Borer Management Plan, the goal is to provide timely inspection and removal of the trees. Our ash population is about 3,500 ash trees. That's about 30% of the trees within the village. Management of village trees. Any reasonably accessible village-owned ash tree that shows signs of infestation, decline, death, or is structurally compromised will be scheduled for removal. Trees will be removed, inspected for the presence of EAB, and then processed in accordance with the Department of Agriculture regulations. We divide we divide it into 7 different management zones. And once an infestation has been positively identified anywhere within the management zone, we will do the following steps. We'll do a thorough inspection of all the ash trees in that management zone. Notice will be given to the property owners that it's adjacent to, so we can keep them informed. If they've chemically treated their parkway tree, we won't remove that tree right away. If we see that the tree continues to decline, then we need to remove that tree from a safety standpoint. What that means for a homeowner who decides that they want to chemically treat their tree, that's okay. We won't touch the tree until we see further problems with it. But in terms of what that means to that homeowner, they go further down the list in terms of when that tree would be replaced, because we do have only a certain amount of money budgeted each year for tree replacements. Moving along, the tree is then removed, and then it would be replaced with a suitable species as soon as it's physically practicable. So if we don't have the money, we're not committing that we absolutely will do it that year. We'll do it as we can afford to do so. So then properties other than within the right-of-way, they'll be harvested or removed as time allows or as infestation occurs. And then the final area is management of the private trees. Once we determine that there is infestation on private property, we'll give notice to the property owner that it is a problem, and it'll direct them to our website, give them more information about emerald ash borer. We'll have a list of qualified contractors so they know who they may reach out to help them with their ash tree on their private property. And we want to have the list of contractors who have been approved by the Department of Agriculture that they use good housekeeping practices and they're disposing of the emerald ash borer infested tree properly. Owners of the trees may choose to remove their own trees without hiring a contractor, but they also need to follow those good best housekeeping practices. The owners will be encouraged to replace the trees lost for emerald ash borer, but we won't require that on private property. So that's the proposed policy, and certainly if there's any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Yeah, okay, but the identification of private property, are we offering our people to go on the property, and do we have to be invited?
We will go on to private property from a technical assistance standpoint, but we won't go on to private property as part of the policy. Public Works forces won't go on to private property and remove that tree.
Well, I
for them.
understand that part, but what I'm saying, are we gonna still go inspect?
Yes.
We'll
Trees
assist.
everywhere?
Yes, we will.
Assist.
Yes, we will.
Okay, so that's been granted to us, what, by some statute,
In terms of going on private property, it's just a service that we would provide for the residents. When we're looking at the ash trees that are within the right-of-way, we look over their fence or onto their property and we see the same conditions. We go and talk to that homeowner. We leave them a slip of paper so they can contact us, so they're aware that we've found that they have the presence of emerald ash borer.
From a legal perspective, should we make it a specific notice? You know, not just leaving them on, hi, I'm Ken Lohr, and I think you've got a diseased tree, but should we in fact make it a form and something that's registered?
Well, it sounds like this is, should we say, the first contact we've seen. We're putting you on notice, and if that notice informs them that Public Works will assist them if necessary, that's probably adequate, unless we want those trees taken down and we're gonna force them down, then I'd say we add more to it.
Well, if I'm reading the ordinance, it says it shall be the duty of any person owning or occupying real property on which such tree is situated that the tree be removed from the premises. So basically, we're giving them notice that they need to comply with ordinance 2334, that their tree is dying and or dead and needs to be removed.
Well, and I guess that first notice, if they're not home and they leave something hanging on the door, if that's to put them on notice that they have it, and that the village has an ordinance requiring it to come down as a first notice, I don't think we need any formal notice. If we want that notice to also be, you must take it down within 30 days or whatever, otherwise we'll cite you for violation, then we do need a different notice. But I'm assuming we're gonna at least give them 2 shots so that the first time they hear it, they won't be, oh my God, I gotta do this in 30 days.
Yeah, well,
That's what
maybe, I guess where I'm going is maybe this policy needs a little more refinement with regard to the private trees and well, I
Like
think the
you want-
ordinance is pretty good. It just doesn't, I mean, this is only that piece. I don't know what the, other,
The overall
right, yeah, what the additional.
Well, I think Trustee Schultz, like Bob said, we wanted to take it one step at a time.
Right.
And not come across.
No,
First of all,
Right.
For the average homeowner, of course, it's expensive. It's a
Right.
tree they probably love.
Right.
And it's gotta go, so there's a compounding of all kinds of negativity there
Right.
already. And so we had a long discussion in the staff about trying this. If it doesn't work and Dave and we all sit down and determine it's a threat to the neighborhood, maybe we can slow it down. I think there's a less concern of that than a year or two ago, because now we know it's here and it's
Right.
spreading. And I know, like my Parkway tree, I treat it. I have it treated by somebody. But, that's probably just you're
Right.
roll the dice if that's going to save the tree. But
Right.
with these people, we're going to try to work with them, and we'll come back to you if the discussion with them and the reasoning doesn't work.
Yeah,
We-
Here's, maybe this, how long would it take, for the actual ash borer to, I guess, ruin the tree to a point where it becomes a safety hazard? I mean, you know what I mean? In years and years and years, probably.
By the time it's been identified, it's been in the tree for a period of time. Once it's showing severe signs, it's got a good year before it's going to be harmful to people, generally speaking.
I mean, would it weaken the root structure to a point where it become more of a hazard in the wind and such?
It's more the branches may fall onto people rather
Right.
than the whole.
Well, I would think that's what we should point out, that, a tree, if it's on your property and the tree, just kind of breaks apart because it's so diseased, you got a liability.
Right.
And I
Right.
didn't bring the case but in, you know, the jury board verdict that we subscribed to, there was somebody at a golf course and it was a ash borer tree that obviously these bugs have been in it for a long time and the thing toppled over and killed somebody. Well, guess what? There was a verdict and it wasn't, it was a monetary settlement of, 7 figures.
It may
It
be
fall-
that this initial notice can reference the website, and there can be
Yeah, I
information
think you might want to
for the
put some,
residents.
we put something on there that, there is
Yeah.
unfavorable case law that you fight the liability on something
Yeah,
it's
my,
like,
my only concern, like I said, was that, we're establishing a policy
Right.
here. What you're asking to do is a good thing, and all the steps that you and public, and your people in Public Works are gonna do, they're all good things. But if we're gonna have a policy, it needs to then also meet all the legal requirements to protect us and to help protect the resident too. So, and because we already have this, I guess for lack of a better term, nuisance ordinance that references, dying or diseased vegetation. And that was my other question is, it references Dutch elm disease specifically and then and/or other such disease or insect infestation. Maybe we ought to rewrite that and just take out the Dutch elm and just say disease and/or insect infestation.
or just put emerald ash borer.
Or add that to it.
Actually blow that right in there,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, either way.
yeah, it's a shame that this is happening, but it is happening.
Right.
So, we don't know what the next disease will be, but coming, but this one's, obviously it's gonna hurt our stock. So what do we say, 30% of our trees are ash?
30% of the trees within the village, within the right-of-way,
Yeah.
are ash trees.
Do we have a count on private property?
We don't. We're estimating total private property and public property is about 10,000 ash trees
In the village?
in the village.
Yeah, now what percentage is that? Is that the 30% or is that higher?
I suspect it's higher because ash trees were more prevalent earlier, so.
Yeah, sure, okay.
And you can probably add another 100 or so that are in
Yeah,
Long Grove that
yeah,
are
probably
leaning into
do.
Vernon Hills
There's a-
along the border there, the fence
What do we,
line of
yeah,
the
I mean,
farm.
Barb brought up a good point. Like for Fiore, I mean, I know we got ash trees from them, but I mean, there was other varieties, weren't there?
Yes.
I mean, there was
number of-
like 2,000
well,
trees.
Ash trees, a number of honey locusts, Fiore donated to us, a lot of other ones.
Yeah. Well, okay, with
Sending
that
us
said,
Diseased trees, Cliff.
I can certainly make that change if the board concurs as far as
Yeah, we
adding
should.
emerald ash borer to that.
Yeah.
In terms of this, it has been on the books. We can, work with council in terms of the enforcement steps in terms of the
Right.
procedures.
Yeah, and that, I'd like to see that added to the policy, that, what those steps are. And any documents that we're gonna use. I think it should be, something, even that first one, I'm not saying, you will, no. It's, okay, you've got a problem and we're letting you know that we think you have a problem and here's some of the ramifications of that problem. And please feel free to call us and we'll try and help you through this problem.
Education, technical assistance, and then enforcement.
Right.
Very
Yep.
good. And if I could entertain a motion, ask the mayor to entertain.
okay. What else?
Well, he would like a motion for us to approve the policy subject to the changes. Actually, I guess maybe I'd like to see the changes first. So maybe if we could have something to read.
If I could beg your indulgence, if I could get some sort of approval on this, we have a grant application that we have to submit, but
Well, that
And-
would
and it
behoove
also
you to
has to
get
come-
something to us
Okay.
to read quickly.
Well, but it also comes back to us at board level. So this isn't totally official, so.
True, as long as it's not part of omnibus, so we have
Right.
to.
Well, when's our next
You can pull it.
meeting? In 2 weeks?
24th.
Okay, well, can you bring it back then?
Is that
The
too late?
deadline for the grant is the 20th, unfortunately.
Yeah, we can approve it here and then.
Oh, we'll approve it.
Okay,
Come
motion
back
to
to the board.
approve the policy subject to additional changes regarding tactics and enforcement and education and documentation.
And is that considered by a scrivener or something, some kind of a scrivener's note or something?
I'll second everything.
You want to speak to this?
Well, your question is,
Yeah.
I missed the, where,
Can you legally fix what he just said? That's all we want to know.
yes.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so there's a
Motion
motion,
so
there's a
made.
second. Is there a second, Lynn?
Yeah.
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz? Trustee Williams? Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Markle?
Aye.
Motion carries. And is there a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole?
So made.
Motion is second. Roll call.
Trustee Schwartz? Trustee Williams? Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Markle?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
All
Aye.
right, motion carries. Thank you and good night.
No more disease, please, Bill.